evening everyone, and welcome to game number 1 of Genesis Squad Scrims. We are starting off in Vikendi and the plane will take off in roughly 40 seconds time. And here we go with a flight path taking us across Cosmodrome, Coal Mine, Goroka, and ending just to the side of VR and Dobro Mesto. And we have teams 11, 18 and 6 jumping relatively early, with 6 going towards Peshkova, with 11 going towards Cosmodrome. And we are also seeing teams 24 and 13 going towards port, with teams 9 and 8 going towards Cement Factory, with the remaining teams spread across the map, with some looking to go towards Abbey, Volnova and Winery. And we are now with Team 12, the Sons of Odin team, who look as though they are being accompanied in by teams number 3 down towards the right side there on south. But it looks as though Team 12 will now float in to hopefully make their drop point. And here we go, Team 12 are now down and they will start looting in their respective buildings. We are with Alex at the moment, who has just picked up a level 2 vest with a pan and a molly. And if we now have a quick look at the map, all the teams seem to be quite separated at the moment. So if any shots are fired, it will probably be with those who have either 4 scope or more, or the players with a sniper. And now we are seeing the first zone of Vikendi, and that is just around the outside of Cement Factory, Volnova and Hot Springs, with a few compounds dotted around the roadsides. So it may be that this map ends up finishing on a completely open plain with not a lot to use as cover. So this will be where things like smoke grenades and frag grenades can come very much in handy, because you will use these to either try and knock enemies or try and use them to act as a kind of cover, a curtain to put around you to move away to get to a different vantage point, or just to get out of harm's way for a moment whilst you re-heal and re-evaluate the tactics that you thought you would be using. So we are still with Team 12. We're now seeing Damo get a knock on the left-hand side there, with Team 3 nearby to Team 12. So let's jump over to Damo, if I can find him on the list, and have a look at what they're getting themselves into. So it's Team 4 going up against Team 2, the Gen team at the moment. Team 4 have found themselves a compound and are now firing towards the Abbey where Team 2 are located. And now more shots are being fired back, and that sounds as though a sniper is now coming into play, with Chezak moving forward, spotted by Damo, just taken cover by the tree, and it looks as though Fitzy on the left-hand side is firing some shots. But that is a knock for Damo with a Kar 98 against Chezak up towards west there, with Fitzy now going in behind to get the revive. And now Gen Temp has just thrown a smoke and moved to the right-hand side towards roughly 3, 4, 5. And now team number 2 are firing back on team number 4. And what I will now do is go to bird's eye view as Damo gets knocked by Fitzy and an M24. And we now see the Zen team coming into play on the left-hand side, getting some knocks against the Vape team there. We have Jen Inga just going down for a revive there, with Chezak rotating to the left side, with Jen Darshan getting a knock and kill on Moonen. Tiger getting a knock on Darshan there. That is Team 12 that we were looking at earlier. And Lionheart now being knocked, and Vape is going up against Zen. So we now see Chezak, Fitzy and Nick rotating to the left side, with Gen Temp coming down the middle. And Chezak is knocked by RBK Beast there, with Sunvote and Deadpool getting Jen Dennis there on the left side. And that is Damo knocking Gen Temp and RBK knocking Fitzy. So that leaves Gen Nick 89, the last standing member of Team 2, who will possibly now be going in for a revive as Damo and Susan Jacqueline push forward, along with RBK Beast on the left-hand side. And RBK Beast starts firing. And Gen Nick manages to knock RBK Beast. And that is Philippek getting a knock on Mimir, Kitten getting PML, and that is Beast getting a kill on Chezak, with Jen Ing now knocked as well as Beast. And that leaves it to Susan Jacqueline to get the finish on Gen Nick. So that is a full squad wipe for team number 4. But now, if we can, let's move over to the Sons of Odin team with Jacko at the moment, who is now reviving, going up against team number 9.
Give me
and that is right, Kitten getting the kill on Odinson and Jacko there.
Like, give me a message when the next room's up. I'm going for God. Pennies, just so I'm going grave scopes.
And although we don't normally do wake-up calls on Sons of Odin Scrims, on Genesis Scrims, sorry, I think on this occasion we might be able to make an exception for a member of the Riot team. So let's leave Riot, Kitten and Zen to loot their boxes at the moment, as we now switch back and revisit team number 12. So as we can see, we have Team 12 still looting Milner at the moment, with Team 14 over towards the northwest side. Team 12 have unfortunately lost one of their members at the moment, but with 3 remaining, they are still in with a chance of getting the win for game number 1. And Team 12 now find themselves in the blue zone with roughly 1,500 metres to go to get into zone. Luckily for them, with this being a relatively early zone, they are not at great risk of being knocked by it. But as the zone progresses and later on in the game, the zone will start doing more damage, and it sounds as though a member of Team 12 has just used a flare, but due to them having fired it outside of the zone, they will be given a BDRM. Now, one thing to note about the BDRM is that it is advertised as a bulletproof vehicle. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Like any other vehicle, the BDRM can explode. Although it is good in that it can be driven through water, it does mean that any teammate that is sitting inside of the vehicle is not able to shoot out. And here comes down their vehicle, so we will wait for it with them, and then we will let them drive off, and we will move to another team. And here they are in the BDRM with Deadpool in the driving seat, Alex in the front passenger, and Tiger in the back there. So they will now want to keep driving along, going 100 down the road just towards the winery before coming to the bridge and having to cross. And there we see Kitten getting a knock on the left hand side there. So let's jump over now and have a quick look. And it is Team 9 going up against Team 25, Riot against the Lionhearts. And that is Lionhearts map being knocked. And King Glitch knocking Kitten on the roof there, with Zen now being the last remaining member of Team number 9. And a well-thrown grenade could be all it takes to get the squad wipe here. And instead a molly is thrown, but misses by quite a distance if you look at it. But there we see Squats getting a kill there, and Kitten now getting a kill also on Lionheart's map. So we now have 2 members of Team 9 against 2 members of Team 25, and Zen and Kitten are taking cover inside the church. And there we see Zen Scobes getting a knock on Grizzly on the left hand side there. And smokes are now being thrown to the right side, with Squawks getting the kill on Grizzly. And Riot Panda gets a knock on Scobes there, with Riot Kitten and Zen now trying to make their way through the buildings towards the next zone, and that is Play Zone knocking Lorian there. And Zen and Kitten also have a BDRM, And there we see Xena knocking RBK Beast. And Riot Kitten has left the vehicle, but what we will do now, although they do have Team 24 and 18 nearby, we will move over briefly and have a look at Xena, who has just jumped in. And there we see Kitten knocking Orphic 666. And that is another kill for team number 9. And here we see Team 10 going up against Team 4 with Andy K getting the finish there. And like many of the other teams at the moment, Team number 10 are also inside the blue zone. And with 730 meters to go, they need to cross the bridge before getting to the next zone. And let's jump over to Team 18, where we see RPG Lola getting an up. And at the moment, RPG Daryl is knocked, and more sniper shots are being fired, with Team 18 in the firing line, with Python trying to revive Daryl now. And it is Team 14, the Elves team, up on the mountain towards east there, just at around 120. And then we see Riot Mel knocking Scopes with another M24. And now with a brief game update for you, a recap of sorts. We are 17 minutes into game number 1. We have just passed the halfway mark. We have 36 players still alive. We are watching Team 18 at the moment going up against Team 14 at 130, with Team 24 creeping in behind. And it looks as though RPG Lola is just moving across the forecourt here. They don't appear to have noticed that Team 24 are nearby. And their focus is still very much on Team 14, back over at about 130 southeast. And then we see Skizzy managing to knock Zen Vert on the left-hand side there. Big hello to Jen Raven, who has just joined us. Pleasure to have you with us. And you join us with Team 18 at the moment, going up against Team 14 at Southeast. And we now have the Riot team going up against Penn, with Penn Menace knocking Andy K there with an MK14. And Riot Mickey getting Penn Menace with an Uzi. And there we see Riot getting a squad wipe on Pen there on the left hand side. And there we see RPG Lola knocking and killing a member of Team 24, leaving Leroy, the last standing member, moving to the left of the wall with Lola moving in and Python just to the side there. With Skizzy now knocking Team 14. And that is the end of Team 24. Being finished by AWM by Timus. And now 18 have some running to do with the blue zone running away from them. They have 260 metres to go before reaching the zone. They have Team 25 to their left at 75. And now shots are being fired. We have teams 10 up ahead at 120. We have team 25, who we will look at now, with King knocked at the moment. And that is the end, with Xena getting LHZ Duck with an M24. And we now come to Zen Fault reviving Zenverts. And they are taking cover by the coast at the moment. And although this appears to be a fairly open bit of ground, the benefit of being here is that most of the time, no one will even look in this direction. They'll be more focused on the compound, on the windows, on the doorways, on any vehicles that happen to be nearby. So most of the time, this is a fairly safe bet. The one thing you have to be aware of, though, is that if the zone changes, then you might be a little bit stuck, especially when you have to come out of cover and you're in completely open ground. And now we're still with team number 6, with team 9 just behind them to the left. We have team 8 to the right. And that is Andy K knocking RPG Python, Xena getting to Moose, Lola getting Mickey, and Confused getting Lola. And that is a squad wipe with Riot taking out RPG. And Riot Wizard has just knocked Xena. So let's see if we can just go over to them now. And we are looking at Riot Panda. With Riot Confused, still alive, just trying to regain some health. We have Andy K, who is knocked, and that is Riot Panda finishing off the right team with a car explosion, leaving team number 8 with 6 kills. And team number 8 are now rotating around the right side of the zone, staying very, very close to the edge, just trying to stay out of the drama at the moment. And except from this team, we would then have 12 players remaining. So it may be sensible for them at this point in time to let the other teams do the hard work, and they can then come in at the end and just finish everything off and get the win for Riot. And the zone will change again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we see Zen Vert knocking Riot Wizard with what appears to be an AWM. And shots are being fired towards Zen Vert, driving around in a blue Dacia. And we are still with the Zen team, team number 6, who are now on the outskirts of the blue zone. With the Zen team wanting to take 2 vehicles to get to zone. They are driving right for team number 12, team 23 firing at the vehicles, driving right past team number 12, and they do not seem to have and we now have team number 8 using team number 6, with Zen Vert on the very last morsel of health at the moment. We have Snipes down, we have Riot Mel knocking Zen Fault, we have Riot Panda rotating round to get the finish there, and we have Vert throwing smoke. Vert's being knocked by Riot Panda there, with Zen Siren and Snipes being the last standing members. And we are now with Zen Siren, who is flying forward at the moment and just being knocked by Zen. And Molly has been thrown, and it looks as though this will be the end of Siren, sadly, with Riot Kitten throwing the Molly before being knocked herself. And there we see Riot Wizard being knocked and finished off by Team 23, leaving Team 23, members of Team 9 and members of Team 8 to finish off, with Riot being taken down by Zen of Team 9. And Riot Kitten is knocked at the moment and is trying to stay within the zone, with Zen throwing a smoke, and it looks unlikely that Kitten will be revived in time by Zen. And just making it with literally no time at all to spare. That is a brilliant save by Zen. although still being fired at by Team 23, with Doctor rotating left, Sasta coming down the middle, and Skivvy rotating right, with Doctor taking cover by a tree, Zen not. And that is it for game number 1, with the ARM team in first place with 9 kills. We have Riot in second with 9, and Riot in third with 6 kills, with Zen in fourth on 3, and Sons of Odin in fifth with 4.